What's going on, everyone? The market had a pretty crazy day today with a whole lot of opportunities in both directions. And what was pretty interesting is that 72% of stocks in the S&P 500 actually ended up finishing in the green, but the big tech stocks stuck out like a sore thumb. You can see stocks like Microsoft, Google, Meta, Nvidia, Oracle, Adobe, and a handful of other ones definitely had a pretty rough day, and this definitely says a lot, and that includes Amazon and a handful of other ones as well. But this stands out because, as we all know, the big tech stocks really control the market. So when you see them selling off, it definitely has a very strong direct influence on the market overall, and that's part of the reason why we saw the market fall today, and that's part of the reason why we've been seeing a little bit of a pullback over the past couple of days. But for tomorrow, we do have some pretty crucial data set to release, which will definitely add in even more volatility. And while all of this is happening, we have a handful of smaller companies that are really ripping to the upside in a pretty insane way. So I think we're set for a pretty exciting end to the week. So let's jump right into it, Tom.
Yeah, today was pretty insane, and I saw a ton of awesome profits, especially to the downside. I did see a lot of dip buying opportunities this morning, though. I know a lot of people were buying up that first initial dip on the SPY. It formed a great support around 522.80 and eventually broke that later on in the day before running down to like 521.80, which is another pretty big support that I've had here on the chart for a little while. So today was a pretty bad day overall for the SPY. Like I said, though, there were opportunities in both directions. I know you mentioned that earlier as well, but the SPY was pretty wild, right? We saw a pretty big move down, and like you've been saying, the heat map is a pretty weird thing to look at, right? Like, I would say it's pretty green, for the most part, but as we know, the big tech stocks really control the game right now, and, it's not even like just Google and Microsoft. We can't forget about stocks like Adobe and CRM and INTU and NOW. Those are all down as well. Netflix, Oracle, there's so many big tech stocks today that were falling besides just like Nvidia, AVGO, Amazon, and others, but they just have so much weighting in the market. Not even like Tesla or the banks or the healthcare stocks could make up for it, right? Because like you said, there was a high percentage of the stocks in the green. So it was just such a weird day for the stock market. But overall, the market is starting to pull back quite a bit. And I'm wondering if we're going to end the week in a pretty red note. It's going to be hard to get back to where we opened this week on Tuesday, up around 530. If we get back there tomorrow, I would be pretty surprised. But I'm definitely going to, keep an open mind. But overall, pretty crazy day here.
So, Tom, looking at SPY right now, obviously we're still very close to the all-time high, but we are pulling back a little bit. What would you say are the key levels to watch in both directions for tomorrow?
Yeah, so as the SPY pulled back today, there was actually a huge range that the SPY was trading in previously between 519.80, you could pretty much just say 520, and right up between 522.50. So I'm really watching that little range once again as the SPY starts to trade into there. It actually got down into there today and started bouncing back up towards the end of the day very, very slightly. So I will be watching this area as a major support. It is a bit of a range though, so you need to keep that in mind. It's not like it's just going to initially bounce like right at 520 or anything like that. There is a little bit of wicks that extend down there, and underneath there I'm actually watching 518. That's a big spot. We've seen a few touches there in the past as well. So for support, Mike, we're pretty good there. With resistance, I'm definitely keeping an eye on 525, which was a pretty big area of the day today where we kept rejecting back down. So that's pretty much what I'm watching for tomorrow. If we do start breaking back above 525, I think we could start to see a pretty good recovery, but it was a pretty rough day for the tech stocks, Mike. I'm not sure that we're going to end up seeing a recovery like that tomorrow.
Yep, we shall see. And as we said in yesterday's video, you have to look at the VIX. So ticker symbol VIX has been moving up in a meaningful way lately, but it hasn't gotten too crazy just yet. And this is actually really good because what this essentially represents is volatility expectations going forward. And the higher the VIX goes, the more crazy the market gets, which is great for short-term price action, but it also goes hand in hand with options premiums. So when we see the VIX rise, it just makes it that much better for options premiums. And we've been seeing it slowly increase over the past couple days. And for as long as this continues to increase, the better it will be for short-term traders. So that is definitely very exciting, and continue to monitor this very closely. And It's interesting because the VIX is at a relatively low point right now, and it isn't all that common where we see the VIX start to increase like the way it is now for this much of a downside move in the market. Normally, when we see the VIX move up like this, we do see meaningful pullbacks in the market, and the past couple of days definitely have been, I guess you could say, noteworthy for the market, but it just hasn't gotten all that crazy just yet. But either way, great stuff there, and there should be a handful of good opportunities over the next couple days related to those catalysts. But another thing heading into tomorrow is that we have some pretty important data set to release. So what's on the schedule?
Yeah, we've been talking about it all week long, Mike. It is the PCE price index. So that PCE data is coming out. We'll see personal income, personal spending numbers. It's a pretty big data point. You know, the Feds actually really prefer this as their inflation gauge over everything else, which is pretty crazy. You know, CNBC even reports that. I've heard Powell talk about the PCE data tons and tons of times in the past in his speeches. So this will be a big number that the Feds look at, right? And it's going to give us kind of an indication on how the consumers are doing out there, right? And how inflation's going. So it's going to be a pretty big number, Mike. Definitely be ready 1 hour before the market opens. This will come out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. If you're going to pick one day this week to wake up early, I think tomorrow is the day.
Sounds good. And then on a different note, there were a handful of smaller stocks that had some pretty crazy moves today, like AI, NIO, and a handful of other ones. But I figured we'd highlight a couple of these ones because when you look at stocks like AI and it's up 20% on the day, or even NIO when it's up almost 10% on the day, these stocks tend to have a mind of their own. So it's like if the market's doing one thing, they can just move completely independently, just like we saw today. So continue to keep a close eye on AI and NIO and a handful of these other stocks like HIMS, you could say Enphase, Palantir, and others, because they have been showing some pretty good strength lately.
Yeah, they really have. I can't believe Palantir actually had a pretty good comeback day today, and it's actually been bouncing off a pretty good support around like $20 to $21. So that's pretty fire here in the short term. It would be awesome to see them get back up to like 22 to 22.50, maybe even 23 here in the shorter term. That would be a great end of the week tomorrow if we could get that. But I will say this, like AI, sometimes when this stock starts to go on the daily, it has some insane continuations for multiple days in a row, and it seems like we're on day one of a pretty good move here on AI. So I'll definitely be watching that one. I know NIO had some news today. They ended up popping up a little bit too. And Mike, even the China stocks started coming back a bit, right? A lot of these stocks have been dipping back down, but even like BABA here is bouncing off of key support. Like this support is so crucial on BABA. It was acting as the major resistance on this stock for, I would say, like 6 or 7 months in a row. So I'm definitely going to be watching that support here on these China stocks too.
There we go. And then, as we all know, there were a handful of big earnings reports for the week. Costco reported today in after hours, and so far, the move hasn't been all that crazy just yet. But what is the earnings schedule looking like for today and then, I guess, tomorrow? But I know tomorrow is going to be kind of a slower day.
Yeah, so we had Costco report tonight and Dell. I know that Dell was pretty crazy today. ZS was pretty big. And then MRVL, which is another chip stock, MongoDB. Those are some pretty popular stocks. You know, we see people commenting about those quite often, especially Costco. Shout out to the $1.50 hot dogs. You know, you got to love the deal that they do there. I can't believe that they still do that. But tomorrow, we only have a couple stocks reporting, really not too much. So really tomorrow, it's just the PCE data, Mike. But I will be keeping my eyes on Costco and especially MRVL. I think that MRVL could be a pretty fun chip stock for the next couple weeks, but obviously the movement so far on their earnings hasn't been the best. Them and Costco have been kind of letdowns here tonight.
True. All right. Well, Tom, that is it for the news and events for tomorrow. So let's jump right into some setups and predictions. A stock I'm continuing to watch very closely is UVXY. I talked about this one over the past couple days. And basically, if we see a continuation in volatility and fear and panic, UVXY can do very well. Typically, this only rises when the market's falling, but the market has been pulling back a little bit lately, so I'm not really concerned about about that. But basically, in times where everything else sells off, UVXY has like that exponential potential, but it's only good during those times. So I'm going to look at UVXY for the upside for tomorrow, but the most important thing with this one is we need to see true panic in the market. If we see anything but true panic, don't even look at this one. But if we see that like good selling pressure and that good, strong, bearish momentum, then this play can definitely be worth watching.
Yeah, it really could. These plays on volatility can be awesome, especially UVXY. Like some of these moves on the options are pretty nuts. Like I know it says that UVXY was pretty much break even on the day, but from the low of the day to like that high there towards the end, that was like a 5.7% intraday move right back up. So it's not like there's like any shortage of volatility here. There's definitely going to be some opportunities. With my first play, I'm actually looking at Plug Power, ticker symbol PLUG. This stock is bouncing quite a bit, and if we go out to like a daily chart, it looks pretty wild, right? It's been selling off a ton lately, but it has been starting to consolidate a little bit down here around lows. And some of these, I guess, more growth stocks, the ones that have been beaten down, are starting to see some buying come in here in the short term. So I will be watching Plug Power tomorrow. I know that this clean energy sector has also been seeing a lot of good inflows lately. So if I do see a breakout like above $3.50 or $3.40, I will look for some opportunities up on Plug. And even if it doesn't happen tomorrow, I'll be watching for that breakout even over the next couple weeks.
Sounds good. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is BHP, and there was a recent big money play on this one, and the stock has been pulling back a little bit over the past couple days, but the overall trend is still intact, and the big money is still definitely showing a lot of potential with this one. So either way, I'm looking at BHP to the upside, but what I will add to this is that this is not something that is specific for tomorrow. It's more so for like the next couple days and the next couple of weeks, because the expiration is all the way out until like July 19th. So they definitely have time here, but I'm definitely looking at this setup pretty closely.
Yeah, I really like that support here in the short term. There's one coming up like around 58.35, and it's a $4 million big money play. I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on this one for the next couple days and couple of weeks, Mike. I'll be watching that support here very closely in the short term. With my next play, I'm going with UPS, which we actually talked about yesterday, bouncing off of support. And this was actually a perfect opportunity here on UPS. It bounced perfectly off of this support. And I actually calculated the low. It was within 10 cents of that low from the 27th of October in 2023. So that's pretty big. And we talked about it on Bookmap. There was a lot of buyers stacked up down at the bottom around 134 and 133. And you can see that the buyers at 133 are still intact there, and we ended up getting that good bounce back up today. So congratulations to everyone who took advantage of that bounce on UPS. I really like those long-term supports like that. You can usually catch some pretty good plays there. So I'm really looking at a nice continuation on this one for tomorrow off of that support. I think that we could see a couple of days on this move, but I wouldn't ask for too much. Like I would say like maybe tomorrow target like 138.50 or 139. I wouldn't go too high.
All right, sounds good. Well, it's now about that time for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have Chewy to the upside.
CHWY still going crazy, right? It tried to pop off again this morning. For tomorrow, if it can break that high of this morning, right around 2260 to 2270, then go ahead and look at an opportunity to the upside.
All right, with the next one, we have NIO also to the upside.
Yeah, NIO was pretty wild today. If they can break out above 545, I will look at call opportunities and just opportunities up in general.
All right, and then with the last one, we have Coin for both directions.
Coin is a crazy stock. I love how much this one moves, Mike. Like, there were opportunities for everybody today, depending on how you played Coin. But if it breaks below 232 for tomorrow, I will look at opportunities down. If it re-breaks back above 238, then I will look at upside opportunities.
All right, so keep a close eye on these three stocks for tomorrow. For Coinbase, we have both directions, and then for Chewy and NIO, we have upside potential. But these stocks are only going to be potential plays if they break through the levels Tom listed, the stronger and more consistent the price action is, the better the setups become. So keep these stocks close on watch, and let's jump right into today's $902,000 big money trade. And we are looking at ticker symbol MU. The big money today put around $902,000 into the MU 100 strike put options that expire on December 20th of 2024. So I'm going to say it straight up that this is definitely one of the more risky big money trades that we've covered in a while. Looking at MU, the 100 strike put options are relatively far out of the money, and these options do expire all the way out towards the end of the year, which is a good thing, but my main concern is how far out of the money these options are. What is also good is that we have been seeing some chip stocks naturally pull back a little bit given how much they are up, and then MU is also forming a pretty strong resistance area between like this 128 to 133 dollar area. So looking at MU, I would not be surprised if it did pull back more. Again, the strike price is my biggest concern. If we were to see like a sizable move lower, this option can definitely present a lot of opportunity. It's just a lot riskier than normal given how far out of the money it is.
Yeah, and what's pretty crazy about this is that $100 strike is almost like perfectly filling the gap right down here, down to 100. And, I'm not saying that we're going to get down to 100, but in the short term here, I actually even like short-term opportunities on this one too. I'm not sure how much I like holding this one maybe that long, like December, but I do like the overall setup here with MU to the downside with resistance. We're starting to see other chip stocks start to take a bit of a hit in the short term too. So, I wouldn't be surprised in the short term if MU maybe came down to test like 120 or 122. So I'll be watching that closely. I'm not sure I'm going to follow this big money play exactly, Mike. I think I might modify it a bit, maybe go with a shorter term expiration and maybe like a closer to the money strike. But nonetheless, though, I do like the setup overall on MU. And I don't know, if we look back in a couple months and MU is, pushing 110 or 105, I'm going to have to revisit this one. That's for sure.
Sounds good. All right, well, before we move any further, we have to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, God, in the StockedUp Discord. He had a great play with INSM, and it was actually a different big money play, and this one just went absolutely ballistic. So it was actually the big money play all the way back from like the beginning of the year, and it was a call option play that has recently just exploded. So looking at the stock chart of INSM, you could see like over the past couple of days, this stock seriously went ballistic. The stock is up 160% over the past couple days. The big money originally entered this trade all the way towards the beginning of the year, and God definitely did a good job capitalizing off of this one. So huge shout out to you, and hopefully we see a lot more of these big money plays go crazy. But while we're also in the Discord, let's highlight today's surge plays, which went again, pretty ballistic. So Surge had 3 plays today. The first one was with CGC. That was a dud. The next one was with Microsoft put options that popped up by 221%. And then it had another play with PANW put options, which popped up by 210%. So it went 2 for 3 today. And for the 2 plays that won on, they were some pretty big knocks, 210% and 221%. So if you want in on the action, definitely check out that first link in the description, in the comments down below. You get full access to Surge, SM Bot, all of our live events. You can chat with Tom and myself all day long. You can access the big money plays right when they come out. And overall, it's the place to be if you're into short-term trading. But besides that, Tom, we have one more day left for the week. VIX is starting to get more elevated. We're seeing a little bit of profit taking in the market overall. We're seeing a handful of growth slash hype stocks moving up in a pretty big way. So I think tomorrow is definitely going to be an exciting one.
It really will, Mike, and especially with all the selling pressure that we saw today and all the good opportunities, I think there's going to be a lot of happy people in the market tomorrow if this volatility keeps going the way it is, because it's been really fun to trade the past couple days, I'd say. And it was awesome today for the Surge bots. Shout out to you, Surgy Surge. Shout them out in the comments, guys. I know you guys love having fun with the Surge bot. But yeah, let's go, Mike. Tomorrow's the end of the week. Don't forget to wake up early for that PCE data 1 hour before the market opens. That will probably influence quite a bit of the price action. But just what a wild week, and what a wild way to end here with all these tech stocks in the red today.
There we go. And above all else, let's deploy smart, long-term oriented trading habits. And let's end this week on a green note. If you guys are new to the channel, consider demolishing that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. In every single video, we cover all of the important news from the market and solid setups, and in some cases, multi-million-dollar big money trades. But besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's end this week with a bang.